Greetings, nerds. This is CNN Nerd. I'm your host, Sarah Belmont, and with me, as always, is our Mr. Producer, Will Polk. How are you doing tonight, Will?
Doing very well, Sarah. How you doing this Thursday evening?
I'm doing fine. You know, just chilling.
Yeah. It's April is like almost over, and yeah, it's the same. This week is it's like this is my first week back after traveling and stuff. So it's just trying to going back to the office and like hybrid schedule. So I'm like, working in the office, working from home, and just trying to just trying to get into a new routine.
Yeah. That I do the hybrid schedule myself. And I thought I wouldn't enjoy the routine, but it's good because you get that automatic break of, I have to go to my other office now.
Yeah.
Throughout the day.
Yeah.
So you're not just like in one location the entire time. So it helps break up your day a bit. I find.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it definitely does help break up it a bit. And also like when I had not been in my like home base office in forever. So I took it upon use this as an opportunity to like redo the space to create new energy, because I was like, I was there the first day and I was like, this is just not working. So
new energy.
So even though IT still has yet to come to fix the ISDN line, but thankfully our computers are all wireless, so I can lead some work out of there. But it's positive energy back in my old workspace, even though I have to get used to commuting again, instead of just getting up and just going 5 minutes versus 40 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Positive energy, like the Thor Love and Thunder teaser gave us this week.
Yeah. Oh, I know, given that the film is only like 2 months away, I know folks are getting pretty antsy, like when we're going to get a trailer.
I didn't realize it was that close.
Yeah, July.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. It's as if they threw so much at us with Doctor Strange, and they saw like the ripple effect of it, that they're like, okay, we're gonna hold back with the Thor.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna there's just a hold back, and I like the tease. It's Thor right now. Thor is up there, given its recent track history. It started off not the best, and then it's slowly worked up there. And and to see the two Chris's, that's all we need. We just need more of that.
We just need more of that. Even though it seems that this, seems to be that this is sort of a bridge movie for the Guardians, because, and I think between COVID and I think with James Gunn's situation where he was, released for a bit and had to make amends, I think they flipped the schedule, because I believe, I think Guardians was supposed to come first. And then, but because of all the issues, and then of course COVID and everything else, they ended up flipping the release schedule. So now I guess we'll pick up with Thor and the Guardians after Endgame, and they'll drop him off at, I guess, New Asgard, and then they'll go off looking for Gamora. So
yeah, I am not the first time we've seen a schedule flip from them, so I think it'll work out just fine. In Feige we trust.
Yeah, I mean,
hopefully they loop it back around, because I don't want to just see Chris for like the beginning. I want to see it come full. I don't know. I want to see the doors open for future interaction.
Yeah. I mean, that the tease moment with with the bro love, the bromance between those two, and how Quill is just like, no, he's trying. He's like, he's in such denial that he loves Thor. It's just so funny just seeing that just sort of play off on the screen. And then obviously Valkyrie is just like, she's king of New Asgard, and she's just like, man, I just, handing the reins over to Taika Waititi with Thor 3 was like this. It was just a shot in the arm that this character needed, because you're right. The first two films, first one had its bits of humor and stuff, but honestly, I don't really remember much about the first two films, except that I remember the coffee smash, the coffee mug smash in another, and Dark World is being like, just block this one out. But Ragnarok, I mean, to this day, I mean, there's just so many scenes from that film that just stick out with me, and I feel that Thor 4 will definitely be the same, and even the Russos, integrated that with Endgame. Mm-hmm. So it's just I really enjoy what they're doing with this character. So I hope Chris Hemsworth stays, as far as the OG Avengers. I hope he stays around for a while.
Definitely. Speaking about denial, do you still think the Flash movie is going to happen? This cannot stay out of the headlines. Like, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I know. When I was writing up this on the rundown, I was like, watch, rinse, repeat. It feels like Ezra just needs to leave Hawaii. They need to leave Hawaii. That's all. Bottom line.
Well, don't forget, there was that weird incident that happened like a year and a half ago, and then kind of disappeared. And it was basically hey, things are going to go down in this movie. I mean, I understand they've probably already wrapped shooting. I don't know on it, but now the reports are he's not going to be the Flash in any more movies. And this is what bothers me, is that, I'm sorry, I'm a big fan of the connective universe. I am. I find that more fascinating than the individual stories themselves. And the fact that you and I have also already experienced the story they're kind of going to tell. I don't know how much I can really invest. I'm sure it's going to get a lot of love because Keaton is in it, but I think that it's going to be very bittersweet, because I don't expect the regular viewer to go into that coming out and saying, oh my God, I'm so glad they cast Ezra Miller, and I'm so mad they're not going to doing another one, when he's like, I want to be surprised if he's in jail and he'll miss the red carpet.
Well, I think it's safe to say they will not be at the red carpet unveil. I mean, because think about it, with Fantastic Beasts, they made sure that Ezra was not around when they were doing the promo tours for that film. I mean, because again, he's like in two major Warner Brothers franchises, and I know the old guard with Warner put up with a lot of shit. But Warner Discovery's new. We have David Zaslav, who's a new CEO of all this, and he's like, all right, we got and as we talked about last week, they're looking at retooling the DC IP anyway. So he's like, all right, either this film may get put on the shelf for another year, or, I mean, with the amount of negative press around Ezra now, and with all these repeated incidents, I mean, is it within the realm of possibility of them just reshooting all the scenes? I mean, I know he's playing like multiple characters within this film, but at the same time, with all the crap that's surrounding him, I get
kids are gonna go see this.
What's that?
Kids are gonna go see it.
Yeah, kids are gonna go see it. You got your marquee, it's the Flash, and the lead is like just a train wreck of a person right now. And maybe they'll just toss the money to be like, let's just reshoot all the scenes and we just push this thing out to 2025. I mean, hell, it's been like at this juncture, I think it's going to be rumored more than the Black Adam. I mean, what Black Adam was like, 2014 or something like that, when
2014.
when The Rock started talking about it, and we're finally
when he showed up at Comic-Con bragging about it, and it's like, dude, you don't know how to deliver things, do you?
Yeah, exactly. So who knows what's going to happen with this thing? It would, if we got news tomorrow that Warner Discovery is like, you know what, we're going to just pony up the money and reshoot all the scenes with a new lead, it wouldn't surprise me if they put the film. I doubt they'll put it on the shelf, but if they may push it back again just to let things sort of cool off and just pray he doesn't do anything else. I mean, with the new ownership group with the organization, I mean, I think anything is possible at this point, even though they've invested what, $200 million or however much into it already.
Right. I just foresee an Ezra Miller cut coming, like in 5 years for it, and DC remains, like, you keep telling me about the new people in charge, and they're gonna right the ship. Well, it's not gonna happen overnight. And
it's true.
And what's really annoying is all of these DC properties that come up in the meantime. It's kind of like, okay, so what are we doing with these? Are they real? Can we really invest in these characters if we know there are other plans? And that's what's always drove me crazy about the DC is like, you can't really get invested in it too much because somebody else is going to take over and then do a whole new thing.
True. Because I mean, they've talked about, I think that's a great point, because many people got invested with Henry Cavill as Superman, and then now Man of Steel 2 is definitely not going to happen. And then, as the new ownership has said, we've had this Superman property languish over the last few years as far as on the big screen. So they'll probably recast and then we will get another big screen Superman. But never mind, Tyler's like killing it on television. But yeah, I mean, it is maddening with what's going on, because DC finally has, like, between Peacemaker and some of the other things on HBO Max, they have really, like, hit it. And even at the movies with Wonder Woman, I mean, I know Wonder Woman 2 wasn't great, but it seemed like they were finally getting things right. And now they're just it's just like this Flash thing is just.
And then they produced Wonder Woman 2.
Yeah, this Flash thing is just maddening. This is the film and the TV show are both just maddening at this point. Just like this is maybe just put the Flash away for a little while.
Maybe, definitely. Speaking about putting DC toys away, reports are that the CW will cut in half the number of DC comic book shows. 2 or 3 have to go.
So with the pending sale of the CW, and so we've talked about this before, just to reset for folks who may have not heard our prior conversation. So Flash and Superman and Lois both got early renewals, which is normal for the CW. And they're generally the Arrowverse and CWverse shows get early renewals before the upfronts, as far as coming back. But this year, Legends and Batwoman and Naomi are all kind of like, well, are we going to get renewed or not? Especially Batwoman and Legends. And I know the writers' room and fans have been very active on social media trying to, with renewal campaigns. And so in the meantime, they're developing this Gotham Knights show, and they also have the young Justice U, the David Ramsey show too, that they're looking at adding. So somebody, the shelf is getting pretty full, and somebody's going to have to go. So I mean, a lot of folks are like thinking that Batwoman and Legends will be the ones that will get the axe, and these other Gotham Knights and other shows will, and maybe Naomi will continue, or Legends may get continue, and Naomi and Batwoman get axed and they get reformatted on HBO Max or something like that. There's a lot of just various things, but bottom line, when we roll around to, I guess, May 19 with the upfronts, some fandoms are going to definitely be disappointed with their favorite show maybe not getting renewed.
Yeah, especially because The Flash has been asking to get canceled for like 3 seasons now.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah.
I just don't understand. Like, put the show out of its misery.
Oh, I know. I mean, Eric. Yeah. Anyway, even the new key, they were like drop some new key art this week, and I was looking at it and saw it online, and I was just like, Barry continues to be diminished in his own show. Even now, even Iris is diminished in her own shows. Like Cecile is like prominent in the thing, and then like the 2 African American male leads or characters as far as Jesse and Chuck are like kind of diminished, and I'm just like, it's just again I'm trying to, I don't know, I'm really evaluating whether I'm going to continue with the show or not.
Yeah. Definitely. What else we got going on? We do have some more Spider-Man news. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 is delayed until June 2nd, 2023, and Part 2 is set to release in March 29th, 2024. And around in between those, we will get more Spider-Man with Madam Web set for release on July 7th, 2023.
Yeah. So Sony pushed those back. I guess broke like late yesterday. That instead of the first Across the Spider-Verse, instead of coming out in October, they're sliding it back. So, I'm really, I was kind of bummed when I saw that, actually, because I'm it's been since 2018 since the first film, so I'm really missing that character. I miss the Miles on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, it was one movie. It was a good movie. I wouldn't say I missed a character. It is amazing to me how much longer I find the animated movies take to do. Hopefully they're putting that time to good use, but we shall see. We're going to get an overdose of Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I think that's part of why too. I guess maybe that's why they did it, because we did have a sort of live action version of a Spider-Verse with No Way Home. So
yeah, which one of the best movies come out last year.
Yeah, for sure.
What else we got? And then you saw something. I haven't seen it. I keep seeing the trailer. I'm very curious about it. I hear a lot of good things about it, but please share your spoiler-free thoughts on Everything, Everywhere, and All at Once.
Yeah, so I did see that over the weekend. It's a wonderful, crazy, zany film. I mean, I guess my Doom Patrol sensibilities were definitely rewarded with this film, because it definitely had that vibe. So the general premise is Michelle Yeoh, who everybody knows from Crouching Tiger, and of course recently with Eternals and other Crouch and Crazy Rich Asians and other things. She plays a immigrant who's married, has a teenage daughter who actually plays the actress who plays Mei Wen on Maisel plays her daughter, Stephanie Zhu. And then the kid who actually now he's all grown up, who was in the Indiana Jones film, plays her husband. So she's it starts out, she's working.
Spoiler free, Will.
Spoiler free,
Spoiler
yeah.
free.
Spoiler free.
On.
Well, I'm just saying, I can just, I'll set up. I'm just setting up where they are. This is not like going to give away any major plot details.
You
And
always
this,
told me
no,
that, and I'm always like, Will.
no. This is in the synopsis. This is in the synopsis. So basically, they're running a business, and they're having a major life event happen, and she gets put into a situation where she becomes the unknowing, unwilling potential hero or heroine for this crazy construct of within this multiverse that she is navigating throughout this film, and very absurd, very funny, very action adventure kind of ways of navigating this multiverse. Very ingenious way of doing it. And like I said, it definitely, the humor and the zaniness has that Doom Patrol vibe to it. So if anyone's watched Doom Patrol and some of the crazy situations that they get themselves into, you'll appreciate the ones that Michelle Yeoh's character gets into in this film. And then my only complaint would be that the ending was a lot like Lord of the Rings, where it's just like, is this the ending? Or recently how we joked about the Batman, where is this the ending?
I was gonna say, there was this movie that recently came out that had like 5
Yeah.
endings.
Is this the ending? Is this the ending? I mean, it probably, the movie's only like 2 hours and 12 minutes long, and they could have easily chopped off maybe 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes.
That's not a good sign with you.
No.
Me and not having seen it, just because I usually have that complaint.
I mean, it worked. It was just the ending could have been tighter. You
can't take it back. You already said it.
No, it could have been tighter. I'm not going to take it back. I've consistently said this to everyone I've talked about this film. That would be my major complaint. I mean, I still enjoyed it, and it was one of those films that, a week later, it's still sticking with me, and I'm still thinking about it and processing it, because there was just so much going on, and it's one of those ones I feel like I need to do a rewatch to really just put together some of the various elements from it. But it was super funny. Jamie Lee Curtis is also in it, unrecognizable, but yeah, I would strongly recommend genre fans. I mean, the great thing about it has something for genre fans of action adventure, fans of comedy. They're all interwoven in there together by the Daniels, who cut their teeth on directing music videos. But this feature film was really, really good. I strongly recommend it.
Right. I don't know when I will see it. Hopefully I will end up going to see it. I probably will, not in theaters. Like, I'm still me.
Yeah. It's one of those. Yeah, it's okay if you watch it on TV. I mean, you don't. Theater's fine, but you're not gonna. It's not like, say Batman or Dune or something like that, where you need to see it on the big screen.
Or this week's episode of Moon Knight.
Yes.
But I do have my eye on a show on HBO that I think is going to premiere this Sunday. Yep. We Own This City with John Bernthal. And we were talking about it before this show. I'm a huge fan of The Wire. 4th season is a perfect season of television. I stand by that statement. It's just amazing. And it just blew my mind that how much this show looks like The Wire. I mean, it's very crazy to me, because you see writers and directors go on and collaborate together again, and they have similar feels, but this is like, are you sure it wasn't shot while they were filming The Wire and they just put it on the shelf? Like, come on. This is crazy. This is just weird. And I don't know the story, even though Will kind of spoiled a few things, but I am very curious. I'm a bit sad it's a mini series. Mm-hmm. But then again, if it's successful, they'll probably do another one. I mean, it might take another 2 decades. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
well,
I'm curious about that, and I will probably end up checking out the Flight Attendant season 2.
yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that it dropped. I guess this today. Is it?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
dropped
yeah,
today.
yeah. So yeah, the We Own the City. Yeah, it's definitely like being promoted on like everything. I've been catching up on Winning Time, the LA Laker dramatization, which I know Jerry West, who is the logo for the NBA for basketball fans. Actually, I think he like sent a cease and desist, or please like change my characterization in this film. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, We Own This City is based off of real life events in the city of Baltimore, and with some police corruption and stuff. But well, so it was also a book beforehand, and it's been obviously adapted to I guess a 6-hour mini limited series on HBO. I guess it premieres next Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I thought it was Sunday, but
no, Winning Time's on Sunday, so it still has, I think, another 3-4 weeks to go.
All right.
Yeah.
Speaking about 3 or 4 weeks, we have been on this Moon Knight train for 4 weeks. There's only 2 weeks left, Will.
I know.
2 weeks left. And I have to say, I want to get off the train. First of all, I don't really understand how they can wrap this up in 2 episodes and have it be satisfying.
Yeah.
I also I really couldn't see about 60% of this episode just because of the way my TV is and darkness. And it was badly shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really don't like this adventure thing they got going on. I heard some interesting comparisons, The Mummy and everything.
Yeah.
I remember watching The Mummy when I was a kid, and it terrified me. And I think that was what was missing, was there wasn't that much suspense. There wasn't that much fear with these characters. And maybe they did that purposely so that the gunshot at the end of the episode would have really hit you, where you're like, oh yeah, that's right. He's technically not a superhero right now. So, curious where this is going to go. And I mean, the sad thing about this episode is it's the last 10 minutes of it that makes you think like the entire thing was spectacular. But it's like, no, it was a really clever sequence that just was beautifully, with all the details and all of the everything. You're just like, okay, this is what I've been wanting to see. And I can't help but remember, but that was like 10 minutes of a 15-minute episode of television. So it's not that the episode was great. It's the last 10 minutes. They had a really good sequence. But this show, there's a lot of really clever sequences and scenes, but it's always just moments. It's never an entire episode.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I know whenever we were talking about it last night, briefly, I was like, I think I messaged you. I was on the fence about this show, and then that last little bit got me going deep into Moon Knight Wiki and Egyptian mythology, because I mean, it that did lure me back in, because up to that point, the first few minutes of the episode, when Layla and Steven were, because it picks up right where we left off last week, where they had turned, Steven Khonshu had turned time back, and then the people were coming to them and all. I mean, it was kind of like, okay,
There was no space in this episode.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. There was just this, you couldn't figure out where Harrow was in tandem, where Steven was versus Layla, and then they got crisscrossed, and then there's this moment between Harrow and Layla that come out of nowhere, and you're just like, what? Why are you guys having a 20-minute break? And then she goes, quickly finds Steve, and then Harrow like takes the scenic route, I guess.
Yeah.
Once, I don't understand. Like you can't really like the suspense, what I was talking about before.
Yeah.
You don't feel as though there's really like there's a sense of urgency, because you're not entirely sure where everyone is and why it takes so long for one character to get to the same place as another character, even though they started at the same place. Yeah,
exactly. And it was that was one problem. I think the other problem for me, at least, was the familiarity. I'm like, there's nothing new here. I've seen that, like, I mean, the stuff with the mummies and I was like, they were. I mean, I will admit that did get me. Well, when the one of Harrow's men was getting mummified, that sequence just from a sense of like, it did get me. It bothered me a little bit in the sense that I was like, I wasn't in a headspace at that moment to like watch someone get disemboweled. But and then, you know, in the little creature, the other guardians of Alexander's tomb, again, you know, I guess it was the familiarity with it. We've seen this before. I did like the moments, the moments that, again, like you said, there were a lot of like little, there've been good moments all throughout this series. Like, for example, the love triangle between Steven, Marc, and Layla, and those moments, and, you know, and Steven like basically like having honor, and he's like, no, you know, you're married to Marc, I'm not going to betray that. But then later, you know, but Layla's like falling for him, and or falling for something there. I mean, maybe she sees Marc, but, you know, she sees Marc, but she likes the Steven personality better.
I think it was just rushed. It bothered me. It felt out of place. I was just like, you still don't really understand that he's a second identity, or maybe even the main identity, because you're like, oh, you even smell like him. Well, duh. Like, I don't know. I think that it was used too much as comedy, and to have that scene of him punching himself in the face. But it just felt, I don't know, kind of forced. I didn't care for that.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I got what they were trying to do, and yeah, I mean, but you're right. I mean, I did feel like, I mean, it was some contrived drama to maybe fill in a gap in the plot or something. But yeah, I mean, and, you know, once we got past the chasm, and once we got actually into Alexander's tomb, and and Marc and Layla were reunited, and in the whole sequence of Steven, you know, going and getting the getting Amet's little statuette out of Alexander. I mean, that those were the moments that stood out for me in the episode. Before we ended up in the institution, because everything else, as far as the first 45 minutes, was just it was kind of like, okay, seen this before, nothing new here. Oscar Isaac's doing an amazing job as always. I mean, he really is. But, you know, will this, you know, whenever we do the rankings of this thing, you know, it's kind of with Hawkeye, as far as with me, as far as just like, you know, memorability of a series.
I remember you liked Hawkeye when we were
But
watching it.
for a bit, but I mean, Hawkeye was still like, I mean, my
I
top.
always forget that it happened.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
Hawkeye did happen.
yeah.
I mean,
But I mean, I liked it, but I mean, but I haven't gone back to rewatch it.
right,
I mean,
right.
but I've gone back to rewatch Falcon and Winter Soldier. I've gone back and rewatched Loki,
Mm-hmm.
but I Hawkeye, I probably won't, to be honest.
To be honest, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. I also don't like the idea of the. This reminds me so much of season 3 Arrow, where it's like, oh, he died mid-season finale. No, he didn't.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I did. Yeah, I mean, it's basically like we're I guess the way they're structured this show is like, okay, we've got the 2 episodes in London to set everything up. We got the Egypt part now where we put Khonshu on ice by entombing him in making him a statue, and we get Amit's tomb, and then we get Tarnet, the hippo, who is not. I mean, they really took something straight out of the comics with the institution, but then they're putting their own spin on it by having the goddess of childbirth show up. I guess there's basically like give us I guess we'll get the backstory in the next week, or probably next week, of when Marc makes the deal with Khonshu to become to get the suit. So because, and then maybe we'll finally get Jake, because Jake's been the third personality's been there all in various times, because Steven thinks Marc did the killing and Marc thinks Steven did it, but obviously I think they've set it up that Jake's, and we saw Jake's bouncing around the sarcophagus. I was wondering if they were going to like introduce that character officially this week, but I guess they're still holding that for later. But yeah, I mean, I think that's but I think by introducing, because the hippo was not in any of the source material, not in the comic, not in any other Marvel stories or anything else. So they decided to introduce this element, and I think, like I said, they're going to use that as a way to show how Marc was reborn, as and it will follow the Khonshu's directive, which is free me, Marc, when I get suspended in the stone. I think that's where things will end up. Whether, I don't know if it'll be this week or the following week, but I think that's the path where we're going.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Where are we going with Picard?
Oh, Picard. Well, this week's episode was, we're getting there. We're getting there. I'm
So like an episode of Naomi.
It was better than last week's episode.
Yeah.
I will say that. It so the theory that many in fandom had, which was that the FBI agent Wells, we have a Wells in this show too. How about that? I was just like, oh gosh, we can't get. Of course, yeah. H.G. Wells influences on everything in sci-fi for obvious reason, but the theory was that this guy might have been a time officer from the future, and he may still that may still be the case, or maybe this is how they will tie the character into Voyager. But it looks like where we're going is they're going to have a big showdown in Labar, France, with Alice, with the Borg Queen's new drone army, with the special forces that she was able to recruit. But we finally do get the reason why Rafi's been acting the way she has about Elnor.
Yeah, we did get that. Like, we were so curious about that mystery.
Yeah. Yeah.
Out of nowhere, they decided to show us that
Yeah.
flashback.
And I guess it goes back to what we were talking about there that I've seen with some of these with the new Trek shows and just series and season structure.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been, why do you wait till the 8th damn episode to show us why Rafi was acting this way about Elnor's death and feeling so guilty and stuff? I mean, again, because it just kind of just dropped out of nowhere. I mean, this
It
thing
literally did. It came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it did. I mean, there wasn't like a little short track where, in between, I think seasons 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 of like Star Trek Discovery, they had these like little mini Trek episodes that were only like, 10, 15-minute things to tell a little story that led into the subsequent season's story arc, right? But we didn't have that with Picard. We just like all of a sudden Rafi feels guilty about Elnor, and we didn't know why. But then we finally get it on like the 8th episode. Really?
But she wasn't even acting guilty until this episode. She was acting like sad and angry as if her child had died.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Because I guess, and it makes. I think back to season 1. I mean, I guess now it makes sense because she failed with her own son. For that. She's estranged from him, so I guess she was like, "Oh, I got a second chance with Elnor." So, yeah. So, but again, we don't get that until like now. So it's kind of like, I mean, at least they gave Seven. They gave Seven some good stuff to do because I felt like I really have felt like overall she's been kind of sidelined a lot this season. I mean, they started out strong with 7 and 9, especially like when she was president and when they were first in Los Angeles in 2024 and just really acclimating to the time period. But then 7 just kind of drifted in the background. But this week I felt was a very strong episode for both Raffi and 7. But it just I think with Rafi, just like, oh, you go do your Borg thing and stuff, and and 7 was rightfully like irritated by that. It's just like, well, that's like telling Rafi to go, well, let's go do your PTSD thing,
Mm-hmm.
And because and I'm glad they had that interaction between those two characters because they I mean, as far as the show, I mean, they really are two of the stronger characters. And the most interesting characters of the show. So I'm glad they had that. I wish they would have done it a little bit sooner. We do get confirmation this week that Q is indeed dying, and so I guess he is trying to make the best of his remaining life is now his lifetime, since he now knows that he has a finite period left to do right by Picard one last time.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a very interesting thing. What I did like with this episode was the whole concept of humans being trapped in the past, and the whole thing about time travel is not it's not the whhole concept of the escape is what really is at hand here, and not staying stuck with yourself, and seeing how they tied that in with Picard and Picard talking to Wells, the FBI agent, tying in basically helping him overcome his being stuck in a moment of his childhood when he first encountered the Vulcans. Again, those were some nice elements and nice beats that I thought really reminded me of the Jean-Luc Picard that I remember watching during the Next Generation, instead of the broken Picard that we've had this season in some parts.
Right. Yeah, I just don't understand this whole Rios thing. Like, really bothers me.
Yeah.
I'm a big shipper, but
Yeah.
I can't ship these two. And I feel like they just take up so much of the episodes.
Yeah.
I'm
I
like,
mean,
I'm not investing in this.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I like they're more believable than Rios and than Agnes ever were, but
I know. I mean, they at least are from the same time period.
yeah, yeah, true, true. But even in universe, I mean, they like kind of joked, when Seven and Rafi were talking about Rios and Jurati, it was just like, really, we were a much better couple than they ever were. But you're right. I guess it's one of those things when speaking of time travel stories, and you make that they make such a big deal about butterflies and all the things, and then they're setting up for the inevitable heartbreak for these two characters, and it's just like, what is it really necessary to like have a ship? I mean,
Well, I don't see. I just don't understand it. It
yeah.
doesn't feel necessary. It feels as though they didn't have anyone to partner him up because they wanted to do this whole thing with Agnes and the Borg Queen.
Mm-hmm.
And so to fill up time, they had him go down this path. And the entire season has felt like, okay, what is the end game with Rios? Where is he going? Is he going to stay behind? I don't think so, but
that's a possibility.
Yeah, might. Which then, like, well, then why even have him on the show?
Right, but no, but I think
supposed to be the crew. What's with
it?
But
that may be where, especially given that we now know that your next generation cast is going to be not just doing cameos in season 3, but going to be an integral part. Because if you're like juggling the 6-7 main principal characters from the next generation, and then you add 7 on top of that, and then you got Rafi, and then Rios, and then and we assume they won't kill Agnes. I mean, they'll be able to rescue, extract the Borg Queen from her. So it's going to be a pretty crowded show in the 3rd season if they trying to juggle all these story arcs.
Yeah, like which is fine. I mean, I still don't like it, even if it makes sense.
Yeah.
I find it to be annoying.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And also this, I guess if Rio stays in 2024, thinking about the way because they're, when they do go back to the future, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how this is doing the timey-wimey stuff as far as, but I guess if he stays, that will create a new timeline. So he's got to go back. Because otherwise, if he stays behind, he's gonna F up the timeline. But then
everyone's already effing up the timeline by telling, hey, we're from the future, and then in the future we can do this.
Yeah. True. We can't. Yeah.
We can do that. In the future, you will be a grandfather of an Earth. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. Or they'll do the thing where the only person that will remember anything that happened will be Picard.
Well, I remember first season. Actually, I don't, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they could do that thing too, where it's just like, oh, it was just the thing between Picard and Q this whole time.
Will, you're not making me look forward to that. You're not helping this at all.
Sorry.
Oh my God. Jeez, I thought Moon Knight's ending's gonna suck, but geez. No, I think Moon Knight will end up fine. I think,
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on Picard?
No. I think we got the penultimate episode next week, and then we'll get the finale. Finale will also drop the same week the new Strange New Worlds show will premiere as well. So,
is that the one with Paul Wesley?
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll be that'll be he'll be showing up in the 2nd season, but the 1st season will premieres May 4th, May 3rd.
I'll check out the second season.
Yeah. I'll fill you in.
I'm just curious. I'm just very curious to see him in a different role.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. I'll fill you in 2024 when it drops.
Oh my God. 2024. Jesus. On that note, Will, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me and tell me how I'm just like way off on everything at Will M. Polk. That's WILLMPOLK.
You can find me at SJ Belmont. Lately, I haven't done much of the talking because we're clearly watching shows made for Will. But, you can also tell me how much Will got it wrong just so that I understand what to take away from our conversations and what not to. At SJ Belmont, SJBELMONT. Please follow our crew on Twitter at CNN Nerd. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. CNN Nerd, and visit our website www.cnnerdpodcast.com. But most importantly, rate, follow, and comment on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Good night, Geek Out. You're welcome.